I am the crown princess. The crown prince's concubine came to me to flaunt her position, saying, I am with child, but it seems you have not yet been favored by the prince, sister. Instead of anger, I felt joy and excitedly instructed the imperial physician, ensure the child is safely delivered. I have waited 3 years, all for the news of a child in the Eastern Palace, so that I can eliminate the father and keep the child, and rule from behind the curtain. As I left the Phoenix Palace, I encountered a woman surrounded by a crowd of admirers, dressed in gold and jade. She led a large entourage and curtsied to me in an unorthodox manner. Is this the renowned Miss Sue, the future crown princess? I frowned slightly. Who is this person, among the women of the imperial capital? Who would dare speak to me like this? I am the newly appointed Zhong Liangdi of the Eastern Palace, here to pay my respects to the future crown princess. I had intended to come earlier, but alas. The crown prince keeps summoning me to his chambers every night, and I simply can't rise early in the morning. The apologetic smile on her beautiful face was tinged with a hint of arrogance. If you can't get up, then don't come. Don't embarrass yourself in front of Our Lady, Xu Xian reprimanded. Xu Xian is my personal maid, still young and unable to keep her composure, which allowed Lady Zhong to seize upon her words. Miss is quite impatient. Those of us who serve closely must prepare meals and clothing for the crown prince, and attend to his warmth and comfort, unlike Miss Sue, who is over 20 and still unmarried, with the leisure to stroll through the gardens. Lady Zhong sighed dramatically, her satisfaction evident. Xu Xian was about to argue further. I raised my hand, stopping her mid-sentence. The sparrow has just taken flight, yet to glimpse the vast sky, why waste words? I shifted my gaze away and calmly walked past her. Unexpectedly, she didn't dodge but instead charged straight at me. She knocked me off balance, then plopped down on the ground, clutching her stomach and wailing, even if I upset my sister, there's no need to hit me. I'm carrying the crown prince's child. I halted in my tracks. What did you say? A gleam of malicious satisfaction flashed in her eyes. Sister, there is already a child of the crown prince in your belly, 3 months along. Come, bring a seat. I waved my sleeve, instructing Xu Xian to help her to the nearest pavilion, summon the imperial physician. Lady Zhong, the secondary consort, looked uneasy. My personal physician is in the Eastern Palace. Isn't he injured from the fall? Can you even walk back? I stared at her intently. I've summoned the most experienced physician Ren. He treated the great princess when she was carrying me. What is there to fear? Of course, I'm afraid you'll cause me to miscarry, although she didn't say it outright. Her eyes couldn't hide her thoughts. She anxiously watched the main road, clearly having already informed the crown prince and waiting for him to arrive. Look at how frail and incapable she seems. See how domineering, willful, and jealous I am. Then expect him to save her from her plight. But the crown prince didn't come. Instead, physician Ren arrived first. Mr. Ren, please examine this young lady's pulse. Lady Zhong clenched her fists. Xu Xian pressed her hand onto the table. Imperial physician Ren felt her pulse. To the Chamberlain of the Records, it is a pregnancy pulse. I felt a tremor in my heart. How many months has it been? 3 months. She just fell. Is the pregnancy still stable? There is no major concern. It's a joyous occasion. I forced myself to suppress the intense emotions in my chest and spoke calmly. Xu Xian, prepare a gift list and find some tonic and nourishing medicines from the storeroom to send to Lady Zhong. I smiled and patted her hand. Make sure to give birth to this child safely. Lady Zhong's body stiffened. Preferably a girl, I instructed. I like girls. The firstborn must be a daughter. Her gaze toward me now carried a sense of awe. I knew what these women were scheming in their hearts. They were constantly vying against each other within the residence, each striving for favor and affection, short-sighted, assuming everyone is like them. What I seek is different from theirs. So she cannot understand me. ordered the servants to send Lady Zhong back to the Eastern Palace unharmed, I strode back to my residence with great strides. Only upon entering did I laugh heartily to the sky. Good, good, this is excellent. For 3 years, I had never felt so at ease. The steward asked me, "What good fortune has befallen the master?" "There's good news in the Eastern Palace." I flicked my sleeve. "Prepare a banquet, play music. And I shall drink today until I am thoroughly intoxicated. No stopping until I'm drunk." The steward complied with the order. In another 7 months, Concubine Zhong will give birth. Before that, I must marry into the Eastern Palace and become the rightful mistress. Have the imperial astrologers find a propitious date as soon as possible to officiate my marriage to the crown prince. Yes, my lady. The current emperor has always been in frail health and is no longer capable of handling state affairs. The crown prince, on the other hand, is a mere warrior and is not fit to be the emperor. I would be more than happy to see both of them gone, holding the child and ruling from behind the curtain. I dream of having a child every night. Lady Zhong is already offering me a pillow. She may be a bit foolish, but that doesn't matter, as long as she can give me a daughter. I can grant her a lifetime of wealth and prosperity. After all, it's just being a caged canary. What's the difference between being a man's and being mine? I don't even require her to share my bed. She will slowly come to understand who is the master of the heavens. The next day, I finished reviewing the memorials in Fengzhou Palace early and, dressed in full regalia, set out for the Eastern Palace with my entourage. Lady Zhong, born into humble circumstances, exuded a strong scent of powder and perfume in her every movement. It is said that she was born into the world of brothels. A woman like her, with child, would naturally become a target for attacks within the inner chambers. Without anyone to protect her, she wouldn't even know how she died. I wanted to give her a show of support, to warn the other favored concubines to put away their dirty schemes. As soon as I entered the front square of the palace, I saw the crown prince dressed in hunting attire playing polo, tall and graceful, exuding a dashing spirit. For a moment, I mistook him for my elder brother Lin Huai and couldn't help but gaze in awe, but when he turned back, his sharp features with a high nose and deep-set eyes jolted me back to reality. Lin Huai-gij is no longer here. The Eastern Palace now belongs to this man. I closed my eyes for a moment. If Lin Huai were still here, I would have long been the mistress of this place. "Oh, isn't this Miss Su?" Zhao Huan dismounted playfully in front of me. "What, have you remembered you still have a fiancé?" I curtsied gracefully. "This humble one, Lan Tai Ling of Fengzhou Palace, Su Jingyan, pays her respects to the crown prince." Zhao Huan lifted my chin. "With such a beautiful face, why so dull? Be good, say something nice, say you missed me." TSK, how did he ever become the crown prince in the first place? A miscalculation. "Your Highness, please behave yourself," I said coldly, pulling my face away. "I've come to visit Lady Zhong." "What is a Lady Zhong? I've never heard of her." "A young lady I met in the Imperial Garden yesterday. We hit it off immediately and had a delightful conversation." Zhao Huan fiddled with his horsewhip, glancing sideways with a bored expression. "Oh, Miss Su, you must be mistaken. There is no Lady Zhong in the Crown Prince's residence." Alarm bells rang loudly in my mind. "I'll go have tea with the other sisters." "Sure. I'll join you." Zhao Huan lazily followed beside me as we entered the inner residence of the Eastern Palace. "Call everyone out." The women of the Eastern Palace lined up in front of me. Zhao Huan leaned back in his chair, crossing his legs. "Miss Su wants to see you. Raise your heads so Miss Su can get a good look and see if there's a Lady Zhong among you." They lifted their faces. A chill ran through me. Tall, short, fat, and thin, each different in their own way. Yet all bore a strikingly similar face. My face. Thinking about it, yesterday's concubine Zhong also bore a slight resemblance to me when she smiled. What do you think? Is there any resemblance? Zhao Huan raised an eyebrow, a spark flickering in his dark eyes. I examined her carefully 3 times. No, I nodded slightly. It seems I was mistaken. Zhao Huan patted the chair beside him. Since you didn't find who you were looking for, how about joining me for some tea? No sooner had the words left his mouth than the director of the astronomical observatory arrived to pay his respects, presenting a tray. Here are the auspicious dates within the next 6 months. Please choose one, Your Highness. Perfect timing, Zhao Huan said lazily, leaning back in his chair and curling his lips into a smile. Jingyan, come and pick a date for our wedding as well, I respectfully stated. It has been less than 3 years since the passing of the former crown prince. Jingyan is still in mourning. I was originally betrothed to brother Lin Huai. Before we could marry, he passed away. It was only then that I was betrothed to Zhao Huan, flowing through the Eastern Palace, the ironclad position of the imperial concubine, mourning, her. His peach blossom eyes flicked up and down. Then why aren't you wearing mourning clothes? You in plain clothes must look especially charming. Furious, I stormed into the Phoenix Palace. Have you found out where Lady Zhong is? Xu Xian looked at me with reverence. In the well beneath the camphor tree in the eastern part of the imperial garden, I grabbed a teacup and smashed it to the ground. That beast, Zhao Huan, Lady Zhong would never have imagined. The person she longed to step onto curry favor would be the one to take her life. I was so furious that I threw all the memorials to the ground. It's almost been 3 years, and the Eastern Palace hasn't produced a single child. Do they expect me to marry into the family and have one myself? Is Zhao Huan even worthy of such a thought? I was fuming when my aunt arrived. I straightened my collar. Greetings, Your Majesty. My aunt, wearing a phoenix crown, was advanced in age but still radiant. Her gaze full of affection, she patted my chest. I've heard everything, Yang. Don't be angry, don't be angry. All right, I want to depose the crown prince, I said coldly. If the crown prince is deposed, then it would have to be Prince Huai. The current emperor has few heirs, and even fewer who have survived to adulthood. After my brother Lin Huai passed away, the position of crown prince was to be chosen between Prince Huai and Zhao Huan. Prince Huai is the son of concubine Jian and has his own maternal family. It was only then that my aunt allied with the 23 families of Guanlong to send Zhao Huan into the Eastern Palace. He's just a lucky opportunist. Zhao Huan is not honest. He has many schemes. The way he looks at people, it's like a wolf watching its prey. Can't you handle him? Auntie smiled at me. He's just a rough soldier, always playing polo. Give him some gold, silver, and women, and he'll be too distracted to care about anything else. Isn't that a perfect emperor? That makes sense. Auntie and I had also discussed the matter of appointing the crown prince. Zhao Huan's mother was a lowly palace maid who died early, and he never even attended the Imperial Academy. I doubt he even knows how to read a few characters. After the emperor fell ill, my aunt took over the reins of government behind the curtain, and I, as the Lan Tailing, entered Fengzhou Palace to draft memorials. Prince Zhao Huan, the crown prince, did not meddle in political affairs. His monthly expenses for food, drink, and entertainment were within a reasonable range that I could accept. If things could remain like this forever, it wouldn't be so bad. If you had married earlier and given birth to a child or two, you might have been able to escape him. My aunt looked at me meaningfully. I remained non-committal. Send more women to attend to him. I gave Zhong Liangdi a grand burial. Rumors began to circulate again in the capital. They say I've yet to marry into the East Palace because Zhao Huan doesn't like me. Zhao Huan has a white moonlight from a common background, who looks down on me. The noble daughter of the Su family. No matter how dignified and proper I am, my unrequited love for him remains. When I heard this rumor, I was already in low spirits over the death of Lady Zhong, watching a young man practice swordsmanship at home. Bravo, bravo. I took a sip of my pear blossom white, my gaze fixed on the young man's smooth, taut waistline, unable to look away. Which storyteller is so talented to weave such a tale about me and the Crown Prince? It's from the Women's Academy. A sharp crack. I slammed the wine cup onto the table. Anyone in the world can spread these meaningless rumors, but not the Female Academy. The Female Academy was founded by my mother, where she invited scholars from various schools of thought to educate and nurture noble women. Here, both Confucianism and legalism are studied, and there are no taboos. For 30 years, the Cheng School has been gradually surpassing the status of the Imperial Academy. Although I received my early education in the Eastern Palace, I often came here due to my mother's influence. As soon as I entered, I took the seat of the instructor. My lazy sisters immediately fell silent and stood up to bow to me. Greetings, Director of the Archives. I hear your coursework isn't enough, and you spend your days gossiping like old women in the market, chattering about love and family matters. I coldly stared at them. 30 years ago, the Grand Princess established this women's academy, allowing you to study the 4 books and 5 classics just like men, to learn strategies for serving the empire. Today, in our entire empire, there is only one proper female official, the Minister of Education, and she's only a 7th rank official, not even qualified to attend court sessions. Instead of studying hard and thinking about how to become ministers or generals, you have the leisure to gossip. What? Do you want to marry men, embroider in the inner chambers, cook meals, be one of many wives, and live off your husband's favor? My younger sisters didn't dare to breathe loudly. You are all destined for official positions. Do you understand what it means to hold office? Yes, we understand. Sit down. I had the exam papers distributed. The Tokyo Waterway stops its operations in winter and resumes in spring. What methods can be used to keep the canal open for transportation even in winter? Write a memorial on this. If you don't finish, don't even think about eating. The sound of brushes gliding across paper filled the classroom. I gazed at these radiant young maidens. Pathetic. 30 years ago, weren't we all hidden in the depths of our chambers, unknown to the world? My mother, a genius by nature, had long seen through this world. Men are inadequate. This led to the rise of women's education. After my mother passed away, my aunt, wielding the power of the Empress Dowager, suppressed the opposition from both the court and the common folk, and appointed the first female official. And then there's me, riding the coattails of my mother and aunt, becoming the first female head of the Guanlong 23 clans. This is the best of times. They don't know how to read. Just gossiping about the intrigues of the inner chambers. It must be because their homework is too little. There was a knock at the door frame. A woman in a black and gold robe, wearing a monocle, stood by the door, smiling at me. Her long hair was disheveled over her left shoulder, exuding an air of unrestrained elegance. Care for a game of Go? The female head of the academy, the first female official in our dynasty, Liu Qing, the eldest daughter of the Guangdong Liu family, agreed. In the courtyard filled with pear blossoms, Liu Qing and I sat facing each other, playing a game of chess. We've never gotten along since we were young. Back when we were studying together in the Eastern Palace, we were evenly matched rivals. Either I come first, or she does. Neither of us will yield to the other. Lin Huaigij is the one who sets the questions. Indeed, he is a genius whom heaven envies. However, I put in a lot of effort behind the scenes to get Liu Qing appointed. Although I am a Lan Tai Ling, which is an official position under the Empress's palace, it is different from hers. Her official rank may be low, but she has both the seal and the insignia. I have looked across the world, and only Liu Qing is capable of taking the lead in this matter. What are you teaching day after day? Making the little sisters gossip about me all day. The romance between Miss Su and the Crown Prince is the biggest political affair in the world. Why can't we talk about it? It's just that they don't do it well. So, do you have any brilliant insights? I've been in the red light district and met your Crown Prince. Liu Qing's eyes, amber in color, Looked like a cunning fox behind the crystal lenses. They say he only picks women who look like you. I placed my piece with a sharp clap. I slaughtered her large dragon in the middle game. Such a fiery temper, Liu Qing said, pushing her glasses up with a helpless smile. Do you want to play again? No, I said, flicking my sleeve and walking away. It's rare to come by, so why not chat for a bit? I've composed a new piece of music. Liu Qing smiled. I glanced at her. You're the worst at playing the zither, and none of the things you say are to my liking. I'm leaving. On the way back, I was fuming with anger. Zhao Huan's actions were clearly meant to show off in front of me. He's just trying to say I'm nothing more than a woman, to humiliate me in this way. After thinking about it, I went to Hareen Hall to find Suwon, whom I like. Suwon is handsome and plays the qin beautifully. Even if she sits there without saying a word, her white attire as pure as snow is a delight to the eyes. I listened to the melody, sipping my wine, feeling slightly tipsy. The sound of the qin stopped at some point, and Suwon sat down beside me. Is there something troubling you, Miss Su? Everything is troublesome. Forget it. Suwon gently undid her clothes and pressed her lips to mine. His breath was light, his movements gentle, and I found it very pleasing. After a bout of passion, as soon as I closed my eyes in Suwon's embrace, I heard a loud shout from below. Who are you people? Ah, how dare you barge into Hareen workshop? I suddenly sat up. Yes, who would dare to break into He Yin Fang? As long as I'm here, they wouldn't even dare to disturb my sleep, not even with 10 times their courage, unless that person can't even afford to offend me openly. I pulled on my coat with a dark expression, pushed open the window, and climbed out. Oh, Miss Su, be careful, Suwon said worriedly, watching me. Keep your mouth shut and don't mention you know me. I tilted his chin, kissed his lips, then turned and hopped into the carriage, urging the horse back to the Su residence. Liu Qing has long been known for her reputation as a flower in the imperial capital. In fact, I often stay out overnight as well, but I do it discreetly, even though my father, who married my mother, the grand and noble princess of the Great Chang, could openly take on several concubines for me. I don't know why I have to sneak around when I keep a few handsome younger brothers. In the dead of night, I have to flee half-dressed, afraid that Zhao Huan will catch me. How infuriating. I rushed home and soaked in a hot bath. I hoped it was just a false alarm. But alas, things didn't go as I wished. Before the water even warmed up, Zhao Huan kicked the door open. Where were you tonight? His body exuded a chill, much like his dark eyes. I am not yet married, Your Highness. It is inappropriate for you to barge into my private chambers. He grabbed my neck with one hand and lifted me out of the water. Where were you tonight? I was only wearing a loose, unbelted undergarment. My clothes were half-soaked, and my hair cascaded like a waterfall. Zhao Huan's eyes turned red as if he had gone mad, his hands gripping my neck. Who are you sweet-talking behind my back? Is it that male courtesan from Hareen workshop? I sighed and wrapped my arms around his shoulders. Why are you acting crazy? I'm not going to stop spoiling you. His beautiful almond-shaped eyes widened in surprise, helplessly allowing me to push him onto the bed. Sleeping it off can solve the problem. Why say anything more? I hate it most when men get jealous over petty matters. I could only lend him a hand. After all, young and impetuous, he didn't stop until midnight. I wrapped myself in the blanket. It's late. You should leave. Zhao Huan had just lain down when he sat up again. What did you say? I'm not yet married into your family. If you stay here, my family will gossip. Are you afraid of gossip? Zhao Huan sneered. You're the head of the Su family. Who in the entire Su household would dare to gossip about you? I was too tired and my hands were too sore to argue with him. Oh well, staying overnight has its advantages. I gently patted him and spoke softly. Sleep. Zhao Huan lay back down. He wrapped his arms around my waist from behind. No matter how many times I shook him off, the warm embrace would always press back up against me. The next day at the fourth watch, I went to court. While Zhao Huan was still asleep, I instructed Xu Xian. Redeem Su Wen and settle her in the villa outside the city. Last night's patrols will all receive 20 lashes. My Su residence spans 9 courtyards deep. A mere Zhao Huan dared to charge alone into my chamber. Are my private soldiers just there for show? It's outrageous. Zhao Huan came to the Phoenix Palace for the first time in a long while the next day. He watched me write memorials. What does your highness want? Zhao Huan fiddled with the pen on the table. I want to learn some governance. If the crown prince wants to learn, it's not like you've driven away 3 tutors for it. Maybe those tutors were just too old and boring. Why don't you teach me yourself, sister? His phoenix-like eyes glimmered as he leaned in. Without even looking, I used the penholder to press against his lips. Work? No way. Zhao Huan's eyes were deep and profound as he kissed the pen. I can wait. I'll be busy until very late tonight. You can go hunting or play polo. I told you I'll wait. Zhao Huan flipped through a few memorials I had written, struggling to endure for a little over half an hour before finally resting his head on the pile of memorials and closing his eyes. I worked all day long. He slept all day by my side. As dusk approached, I set down my brush. Send today's draft to the Empress Dowager for her seal. Zhao Huan's long lashes fluttered, waking up just at the right moment, and he sprang to his feet, his gaze piercingly intense as he looked at me. Like a hungry wolf, yet the motion of pulling me in for a kiss was surprisingly gentle. I fell into his embrace, closing my eyes to savor this rare tenderness, until he, breathing heavily, bit off the golden hairpin in my hair. My long hair cascaded down. His kisses trailed from my neck to my collarbone. I'm tired, I said indifferently, too exhausted to even keep my eyes open. A kiss is fine, but I have no energy for more. Zhao Huan's breath hitched, and his scorching fingertips gently closed my collar. His voice hoarse, he said, "There's a new restaurant at Wuyang Lane that serves delicious food. I'm going home to eat, Your Highness." "That's fine. Your family's wine is quite good." I was taken aback. "When did you ever drink my family's wine?" "Oh, I just took a bottle from your shelf this morning." "Damn it, that was my treasured aged daughter's red wine." I glared at him, lifted my golden hairpin, and gracefully descended the palace steps. I was met by the sight of Zhao Xin, elegantly dressed in white. "Prince Huai." I nod in greeting. "Sister, you're still working in the Phoenix Palace so late. You must be very tired. Have you lost weight recently?" Zhao Xin smiles as he looks me over, then takes out a scroll of calligraphy from his sleeve. "I've acquired a piece of calligraphy by Master Wending. I remember you like his work, so I've brought it especially for you." "Oh," I perk up. "Let me see." The ink is fragrant, the strokes strong and powerful, with an innate grace and spirit. "Wending, oh Wending." I smiled and shook my head. Out of the world's 10 measures of literary talent, Wending alone possesses 8. I wonder who this Mr. Wending really is. His fame precedes him, yet he never shows himself. It seems he is a true recluse. My smile faded as I closed the scroll. "Then I thank you, Your Highness, for your generosity." Zhao Xin stood in the fiery sunset, smiling gently. "I merely love the house along with its roof. It's not really a sacrifice." "What a fine example of loving the house and its crow." Zhao Huan emerged from behind me with a palace lantern in hand, his collar disheveled, exuding a languidness after a sexual encounter. Yet, a cold smile played at the corner of his mouth. "Which crow do you love?" Zhao Xin bowed leisurely, unhurried. "Your Highness, since my sister likes it, I merely try to appreciate it as well, that is all." "One sister after another, you call her so affectionately." Zhao Xin smiled helplessly. "Second brother. She's your cousin and also my cousin. Sister and I grew up together since childhood. Have you misunderstood something?" As soon as he mentioned growing up together since childhood, Zhao Huan's eyes darkened like storm clouds. His rough fingers traced over my fingertips, gripping my hand tightly. "She's your sister, but she will be my wife. Remember that." Zhao Xin smiled but remained silent. her eyes flickering as she looked at me. When he smiled, he looked very much like Brother Lin Huai. I pulled my hand away from Zhao Huan's grasp and nodded slightly to the two of them. Take your time, your highnesses. I bid you farewell. Su Jingyan. Zhao Huan chased after me in a fluster, grabbing me by the arm. What kind of propriety is this? Pulling and tugging. I slapped his hand away. I'm not even married into your family yet. Is it appropriate for you to take my hand so casually? Zhao Huan sneered. What are you pretending to be so virtuous for? Last night, just now, how did you writhe in pleasure beneath me? As soon as these words were spoken, I was momentarily at a loss for words. He coldly glanced at the passing palace maids. They all knelt down with a clatter, heads bowed, dismissed. The palace attendants bowed and withdrew, leaving only the chirping of insects in the imperial garden. Ah Huan, you are the crown prince. Do you not know what should be said and what should not? In front of so many people, you speak wildly and crudely, without manners. How do others view you? And how do they view me? We are to be the future emperor and empress. I tried my best to restrain myself, but I still couldn't help but lose my temper. Zhao Huan's face was full of defiance. I sighed deeply and gently touched his cold, hard cheek. In private, I don't care how you act, but at least maintain the dignity of a crown prince in public. Behave properly and don't cause trouble for your sister. Understand? A palace servant announced from a distance. His Majesty summons the crown prince to dine with him. Go ahead, I said, fastening his buttons and straightening his collar. He took my hand, pressing a scorching kiss on my wrist. Wait for me. I sent him away and turned to warn Xu Xian not to let him into the Phoenix Palace again. I've been busy lately. I don't have time to deal with him. If the crown prince wants to come, there's not much we can do to stop him. Then find him more tutors to study with. I was so angry that my head hurt. It's been 3 years and he's still a ruffian, not even close to being civilized. When I got home, the house was brightly lit, and a woman was wailing. What's going on? I stepped down from the carriage, seeing my younger sister wrapped in a shawl, sitting in the front yard, tears streaming down her face. Her face was as pale as a sheet, her voice hoarse and desperate. The second young lady went to worship the moon old man yesterday and was defiled in the temple. I frowned. Who was it? The young marquis of the Wang family. I know this person, Wang Chuanxai, a brainless lecher. He indulges in debauchery and enjoys humiliating women, but there's no way he would lay a hand on my younger sister. Last night, Madame Lin and the third young lady also went. How dare you? I raged. Call Dr. Ren to examine the second young lady, and gather all the women in the ancestral hall. No one is to sleep tonight. In the residence of the Su family in the capital, there are 4 branches of uncles and aunts, 76 women. Late at night, the ancestral hall was illuminated with candles. I sat at the head of the table, with my aunt and sisters seated in order. Aunt Lin initially tried to put up a tough front, but after a few lashes, she confessed. It turns out that the eldest son of the Jian family recently came to propose marriage, wishing to wed my second sister. Seeing that my second sister had no parents, Aunt Lin schemed to defile her, tarnish her purity, and spread the scandal far and wide. The Jian family would never accept a daughter-in-law with a notorious reputation. My third sister would seize the opportunity to take her place. Beat her hard. I slammed the teacup down fiercely, my hands trembling with anger. Only when the household servant fetched a staff as thick as a child's arm did Madame Lin realize her fear and scream, rushing up to grab my skirt. Young mistress, I only wanted to secure a good marriage for Jingyun. Though Jingyun is of a concubine's birth, she is still your own sister. Which one of you here isn't my own sister? I snarled, gripping her chin. Lin Yinyang, you were redeemed by my father from a brothel. You've experienced the humiliation of being ridden by 1,000 men, yet you sent Jingmin to Wang Chuanxai's bed. How could you do such a thing? I slammed her head forcefully to the ground. Bring out the family law. Jingmin's sobs grew quieter, her eyes wide with shock. The ancestral hall echoed with Lin Yinyang's agonized screams. Blood seeped from beneath the luxurious garments. Jingyun rushed forward to shield Aunt Lin but was dragged away by the household servants. Sobbing, she knelt down and pleaded with me. "Sister, if this continues, my mother will be beaten to death. You don't need to kneel to me. Your mother didn't harm me. What does this have to do with me?" I leaned back in my chair, lowering my eyes as I sipped my tea. Jingyun was stunned and crawled over to Jingmin. Second sister, my mother really will be beaten to death." Jingmin's pale face remained unmoved. "Your mother will die. Did she ever think I would die when she drugged that beast and led him to my room?" The sound of the wooden boards echoed through the ancestral hall. Aunt Lin's breath grew weaker. Jingyun was frantic, kowtowing to Jingmin with a thud. "Second sister, my mother was born into the red light district. Illiterate and ignorant of everything. Please spare her life. I will work as a beast of burden to compensate you." Jingmin's eyes softened at the corners as she turned her gaze toward me. "You'd better think this through," I reminded her. "If you call for it to stop, her grudge against you will be settled." Jingmin, after all, was a young girl, kind-hearted and soft. "Sister, it's enough." The servants put away the sticks. Jingyun cried and threw herself at Madame Lin's side, sobbing pitifully. "Jingyun, this is all because of you," I said calmly. "For the next 10 years, do not think about marriage." The dying Madame Lin, dragging her sickly body, suddenly erupted in rage. "Su Jingyan, what are you plotting? I'll fight you to the death. Some people, when you hit them, won't take their lives. But if you don't let her daughter get married, she'll fight you to the death. Bring it on to me." Aunt Lin cried out tearfully. "Jingyun knows nothing. I take full responsibility for my own actions. Of course she doesn't know. I know my own sister. Otherwise I would have beaten her up along with the others. Su Jingyan, you're pushing her into a fire pit. She'll end up like you, an old spinster who can't get married." Aunt Lin's eyes burned with venom as she glared at me. "You're the daughter of a princess. You can afford to wait. But my Jingmin is just a concubine's daughter." "Shut up." In the Su family, there are no distinctions between legitimate and illegitimate daughters. They are all my sisters. I slammed the teacup down onto the table. "Mother, please stop talking." Jingyun couldn't bear to listen anymore. She picked up the scissors and cut off her own hair in front of me. "Jingyun is willing to study hard and will not discuss marriage within 10 years. "Good," I nodded. Aunt Lin wept as if her heart had turned to ashes. "Listen carefully to me, all of you," I said, my gaze sweeping across the women present. "What kind of skill is it to compete with women for a man? If you have the ability, go and compete with men for power and influence. Instead of wasting time thinking about marriage, think about something else. What's wrong with getting married?" A sweet laugh suddenly emerged from the shadows of the ancestral hall. My sixth sister, with her hair styled in twin buns and wearing a pleated skirt, gracefully stepped out from the shadows. "Once married, you enter a prestigious family, become the mistress of the household. Even if you're hidden behind a man, you still hold power and influence, able to command the winds and the rain. You have quite the boldness," I said, narrowing my eyes as I studied her. "A 16 or 17-year-old girl grows like a lotus in clear water, changing every day." Sixth sister covered her mouth and laughed. "The Jen family has a lineage of 4 generations and 3 marquises. The wife of the eldest son of the main branch will eventually take charge of the household. If it were one of us sisters, wouldn't that be wonderful? What would you want to do after taking charge of the household?" I asked. Sixth sister thought for a moment. "When the Grand Princess married into the Su family, she managed it for several years. By the time it reached her daughter's generation, a woman took the position of head of the family." I reminded her. "The Jen family is not like the Su family. They are an old aristocratic family with 100 years of history, and their family customs are rigid. The eldest daughter of the Jen family still doesn't step out of the inner chambers." Can you do it? The sixth sister walked up to me and gave me a sweet smile. So what? Your mother is only a princess. My sister is the empress, good, ambitious. I stared intently at her flower-like face. Come, send the birth details of the sixth sister to the Jian household. Jinghan is, after all, a concubine's daughter, my third aunt reminded. I straightened my back and spoke with neither inferiority nor arrogance. What else do they have to find fault with? If the Jian family harbors any dissatisfaction, tell Duke Jian to come and talk to me in person. My cunning and beautiful little fox prostrated herself in a long bow. Thank you, sister. For your grace. I passed by her. I send you to the clouds. Go ahead and fight for it. I hope that one day, when I visit Mr. Jian, it will be to meet my own niece. Stepping out of the ancestral hall, the night had already deepened. The front courtyard was in an uproar. Who is making a commotion outside the door? It's the crown prince. I let out a long sigh. Why does it have to be him again? I can't just beat him up and throw him out. However, Master has already gone to greet them. I nodded. Please thank Father for me. Although Father is carefree, he can still be relied upon when it matters. As the elder of the family, Zhao Huan still has to address him as uncle, so I imagine he wouldn't dare to speak recklessly in front of him. I returned to my chambers and dismissed everyone. Come out now. Jingmin emerged from the corner, wrapped in white. It's not a big deal. There's no need to avoid people. Tears streamed down Jingmin's face. Sister, I want revenge, Such things are like being publicly beaten outside. Such humiliation naturally makes one want to strike back. You are a brave and spirited child, but how do you plan to seek revenge on Wang Lang? I want him dead, the girl declared angrily. I took a wooden sword from the rack and tossed it to her, attacking the moment she caught it. She couldn't withstand a single strike and fell to the ground. Again, she got up from the ground and charged at me. I deftly dodged, again. She had taken martial arts classes at home, but she couldn't fully let loose. She had her shuriken knocked out of her hand 3 times by me. Is this all you've got? You want to kill someone like this? Finally, she unleashed her fury, roaring as she lunged at me with her sword. I blocked her blade, meeting her bloodshot eyes with a smirk. Now, this is more like it. But it still won't be enough to kill him. A look of sorrow filled her eyes, as if all the life had been drained from her. She slumped to the ground, murmuring, "Why am I a woman? Why, I am also a woman." I stood under the moonlight, quietly leaning on my sword. My engagement is far more prestigious than yours. Since I was young, I was betrothed to the crown prince. Even after the change in the Eastern Palace, I remain the crown princess. But Auntie Lin would never think of ruining me and having Jingyun take my place in the palace. She didn't even dare to think about it. Similarly, Wang Lang never dared to entertain any thoughts about me, his lecherous. But in front of me, he doesn't even dare to look me in the eye, because they know that if they so much as harbor the slightest improper thought about me, I will have them all beaten to death with rods. The words beaten to death slipped softly from my crimson lips. My younger sister raised her head as if scalded. Although I've practiced swordsmanship for a few more years than you, I don't have the advantage when facing men. All I possess is power and influence. But sister, I have neither power nor influence. I am merely a woman of marriageable age, an orphan without parents. My younger sister, pitiful and powerless. There will be a provincial examination this autumn. In her suddenly widened eyes, I saw the reflection of my own smile. If you can rank in the top 3, I will give you power. Can women take the imperial exams? Normally, they cannot. I gazed at the distant palace buildings and extended my hand to her. With me here, they can. Thank you, sister, for your mercy. Jingmin wept, resting her face in the palm of my hand. A light thud came from behind. As Zhao Huan jumped down from the wall, my vision went black. The dignified crown prince, midnight wall climbing. Your father dragged me to drink, so I got him drunk and slipped out, Zhao Huan said, his body steaming. Have you been waiting long? Please return, Your Highness. I said, holding Jingmin. Tonight, I need to take care of my sister. Zhao Huan was stunned. Taking care of your sister is more important than taking care of me. I turned cold. What makes you think I was waiting for you? Just because you spent the night in my bed last night, do you think you can come here and act wild? It was just a moment of pleasure. The Crown Prince isn't even worthy of being my guest. I picked up Jing Minute, who had fainted, and carried her into the boudoir right in front of him. Zhao Huan pulled out all the flowers and plants in my courtyard and stormed out, kicking the door open. He was arrogant and, from that day on, ignored me completely. I couldn't have asked for more. When Jingmin was feeling better, I sent her to a girls' school. Rumors always spread quickly. After all, they had received some education, and they pitted Jingmin. Knowing who deserved their disdain, I hid behind the carved window, watching a few of her close friends cry with her, and said to Liu Qing, "You've taught them well. That doesn't really need teaching." On the way to court, Duke Jian chatted with me casually and invited me and my sixth sister to visit his family to see the eldest son. I discussed the wedding date with him. At the door, I encountered the Duke of Wang waiting for me. "My son has been rude." I nodded and said, "He is not fit for the post of palace attendant." The Duke Wang nodded repeatedly, saying he understood and it was only right. "There's one more thing I need to inform the Duke about. There will be a proposal during the court session later, regarding opening up the qualifications for the autumn examination, allowing commoner scholars to participate. Are you mad?" The Marquis does not object. Then, I don't object, but it doesn't matter much. However, since he owed a favor, he indeed refrained from taking a stance during the uproar in the court and beyond. The proposed changes to the autumn examination were not passed. As I had anticipated, the court was in an uproar, and Zhao Huan hadn't sought me out. I took the opportunity of a spring outing to inspect the manor in the countryside. It was the time for spring planting, with farmers transplanting rice seedlings and herdsmen tending to their cattle. A scene of harmony and contentment. My heart also grew calm. People only see the emperors and ministers. In truth, emperors and ministers are not important at all. What truly matters are the old farmers in the fields, the women in the mulberry groves, and the merchants on the roads. This is the foundation of the nation. As I was driving, it started to rain lightly, so I took shelter in a nearby small temple. Looking up, I suddenly realized that the deity enshrined there was Brother Lin Huai. This is the former crown prince, an elderly man with white hair, taking a break, told me. He was compassionate towards the people, visiting the fields every year to see the spring planting. During the famine, he also provided relief to the refugee. It's a pity he died young. "Miss, have I seen you somewhere before?" I smiled but remained silent. "Who built this temple?" "Oh, it's a kind young gentleman. He came to inspect the place a couple of days ago and gave us many iron farming tools." I nodded, lit a stick of incense with utmost sincerity in front of my elder brother Lin Huai's golden statue, and then fell asleep on his shrine. In my dream, I heard the melodious sound of a flute. Opening my eyes, I saw a man dressed in white, noble and graceful, like a prince from a heavenly lineage. "Brother." I reached out to him. He embraced me. His embrace was as warm as it had always been. The spring rain outside had stopped without my noticing, and the city was lit up with countless lights. I woke up to find Prince Huai smiling at me. "Sister, sleeping in the wilderness, aren't you afraid of the cold?" I carefully examined his eyebrows and eyes. Under the dim light, his features were soft and beautiful. "Why are you looking at me like that, sister?" He lowered his eyes, a blush rising on his handsome face. I curved my lips into a smile and patted his thigh. "Isn't this what you've been dreaming of day and night?" He rode up on his horse, and it started raining again. So he asked to share my carriage. I didn't refuse. "It was you who built the temple for Brother Lin Huai, wasn't it?" I asked with my eyes closed. "Yes, you've put in a lot of effort. My reverence for my elder brother is the same as yours, sister, Zhao Xin said, adjusting his snow-white robe with both respect and gentleness. I smiled. Of course, it's different. Lin Huai and I are husband and wife. He's just a younger brother. But I didn't argue with him. White clothes, bamboo flute. Reign of Qingming. How is it that I never noticed before that my third brother looks so much like my older brother? Zhao Xin and I traveled together in the same carriage, arriving at the Su residence. As we alighted from the carriage, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Zhao Huan, whom I hadn't seen in a long time. He seemed about to say something to me, but quickly spotted Zhao Xin emerging from the carriage behind me. His handsome features twisted in an instant. He charged forward, landing a punch to the side of Zhao Xin's face. What the hell were you doing? Chaos erupts outside my door. The crown prince beats the Duke of Huai in the street. I do not intervene. Let them fight. Let them fight even harder. I was just worrying about the dead end in the autumn examination with no leverage. Zhao Huan handed me a handle. The news of the crown prince beating Prince Huai in broad daylight shocked the court. With my instigation, a flurry of memorials poured in. And the calls to depose the crown prince grew louder day by day, alarming the emperor who was convalescing in seclusion in the Zhaoyang palace. Early morning, Zhao Huan and I went to the palace to meet the emperor. The emperor reprimanded him. Why haven't you produced a single child in the Eastern Palace after 3 years? Zhao Huan glanced at me. I only want a child from the crown princess. But the crown princess has been unfaithful to me. Absurd. The emperor dismissed him. In the curling smoke of incense, only he and I remained. My uncle's bony hand reached out from behind the curtain. Do you truly wish to depose the crown prince? Yes. The succession was only established 2 years ago. To depose him now might shake the very foundation of the nation. Compared to Prince Huai, my uncle favored Zhao Huan more. He was a frail man, always overshadowed by my mother, and by her side, he was merely an ordinary, thin-skinned individual. But because he was a man, in the end, he ascended to the throne, while my mother remained forever just the grand princess. From the martial Zhao Huan, he saw a possibility. I know you resent me. I am old, and my days are numbered. This throne is mine now, and it will be yours in the future. Zhao Huan is a sharp blade, and the world cannot be without a blade. I have never resented you, uncle. I sat beside this man who was on the verge of death and held his hand. Uncle has always treated us very well, very tenderly. He is also Lin Huai's father. I treated him with great affection. My uncle sighed. Then what will it take for you to protect Zhao Huan? Just tell me, gently. I combed through his white hair with a comb, imagining if my brother Lin Huai would also grow old like my uncle, gentle and refined. I want uncle to help me with something. Oh, I hope commoners can enter the civil service. As I exited the Zhaoyang palace, Zhao Huan was waiting for me below. When did you get mixed up with Zhao Xin? His eyes were bright and piercing, truly like a blade. Prince Huai is my younger brother. I am also your brother. How many brothers do you have exactly? He stepped closer, his eyes gleaming sharply. You sat in the same carriage with him, unmarried man and unmarried woman. Are you treating him like you did that male entertainer? Your Highness, you are overstepping. I don't like men meddling in my personal affairs. Whether I do or don't is my own business. He has no right to interfere. Zhao Huan grabbed my wrist. Su Jingyan, I am your husband. Your Highness, you are mistaken. I brushed off his hand. My husband is the future ruler of the land. But as for the crown prince, you may not necessarily become the emperor. You want to depose me. Zhao Huan was astonished. It's you who wants to depose me. The moisture in Zhao Huan's eyes vanished, replaced by a cold and ruthless glare. He didn't say anything more and turned to leave. Soon, I heard that he had given up his usual pastime of hunting and was instead maneuvering among the noble families, engaged in a fierce struggle with Prince Huai. He's been associating with Duke Jian, trying to win the support of the Jian family, and flirting with that concubine Jian. my sixth sister said, playing with the golden canary in my room. Sister, aren't you going to do something about it? Let them fight. I continued to copy the brushstrokes of Master Wending. Which emperor in history wasn't born from the blood of his brothers? Zhao Huan only has one younger brother. If he wants to ascend the throne, can't he even defeat the Prince of Huai? Why bother being the supreme ruler? I am a very fair person. Both my palms and the back of my hands are my brothers. Whoever becomes the emperor, I will be the empress of that one, as long as they don't cause too much trouble. And in the palace city, each person is given 1,000 soldiers to see who survives to the end. I am willing to wait. What I am more concerned about now is the fierce debate in the court over the matter of civil service examinations for commoners. After all, I had promised Jingmin that I would find a way out for her. The emperor made a rare appearance in court, supporting the selection of officials from among the common people. The emperor needed people without a foundation, individuals who would rely entirely on him. Naturally, the great aristocratic families were opposed. The court session was tense, with swords drawn. Seeing that the timing was right, I sat at my aunt's feet and handed her the prepared item. From behind the curtain, my aunt's gentle voice emerged. If that's the case, why not meet halfway and select officials from among the daughters of noble families? What does everyone think? This statement left the entire hall in shock. How can a woman hold office? Isn't that the height of absurdity? They have long hair but short-sighted views. What do they know? Since the Grand Princess established the Women's Academy, 8 or 9 out of 10 noble daughters have been studying. Saying they have long hair and short-sighted views, what about the young masters from the Imperial Academy who can't even pass the Women's Academy exams? Auntie said softly, smiling. And after all, those are the daughters of the great officials. This remark struck a chord deep in their hearts. Noble families would never cede power to the common folk. But what if it were their own daughter? Not every household can ensure their sons will be capable. In the capital, however, there are more women who are unwilling to remain confined to their chambers and are sensible enough to understand the bigger picture. What can women achieve in the imperial examinations? Are you going to let them become officials? My uncle spoke up. He looked at me over the curtain, clearly annoyed at being outmaneuvered by me. Women are kind-hearted and gentle. My aunt followed my script, saying, although they may not become ministers or generals, as local officials, they would likely be more empathetic to the people than those greedy corrupt officials. Later, there were some more arguments. For instance, what kind of official positions can women hold, and what rank? Should they wear hoods when appearing in public? Can unmarried women serve in office? I jot down each point carefully, a faint smile tugging at my lips. It doesn't matter, nothing matters anymore. Look, they're all tempted, the emperor and the aristocratic families, who were previously at a deadlock. Each took a step back, just stepping back to where I truly wanted. The door for women to hold official positions has been opened. Next, it's a matter of slowly and steadily reshuffling the cards over time. The list of the first batch of female scholars for the autumn examination was issued. In this vast nation, only 3 were selected. I did not disappoint Jingmin. Jingmin did not let me down either, ranking as the 3rd-place scholar. I sent her to the Sichuan-Chongqing region to serve as a minor county magistrate of the 7th rank. At the city gate, I adjusted her thick cloak for her. The Wang family is arrogant and domineering, bullying men and violating women, and it has not been a day or two. Their brazenness stems from the fact that Nanyang is the ancestral home of the Wang family. The Wang family of Nanyang owns tens of thousands of acres of land, with 100,000 servants. And their wealth is comparable to that of a nation. As the magistrate, you are the parent of the people. If you do well, the people of Nanyang will live in peace and contentment, and they won't think of becoming lackeys of the Wang family. If you do poorly, all of Nanyang will be in their grasp. I know, sister. After that incident, Jingmin studied hard. only daring to fall seriously ill after high school, becoming even thinner, yet this thinness gave rise to a sense of determination. I want to ensure that the Wang family no longer exists in Nanyang, so that Wang Chuansai has no clan to rely on. By then, killing him will be as easy as crushing an ant. Her eyes burned with fury. I nodded. She would remember this anger, tempered by it year after year, and grow stronger. Her uncle's health was deteriorating day by day. The atmosphere in the capital grew increasingly tense with each passing day, to bring good fortune to her uncle. Her aunt organized a flower viewing banquet in the imperial garden. Zhao Xin sat down beside me. Zhao Huan, however, attended with Zhen Feiyan. Zhen Feiyan was the daughter of the Zhen family, rarely appearing in public, but her beauty lived up to her name, radiant as the moon, a celestial being descended to earth. We were hailed as the two most beautiful women in the capital. When others say this about me, it smacks of flattery, but Zhen Feiyan is different. The Zhen family is indeed known for producing beauties. Her aunt, the noble consort Zhen, entered the palace for her unparalleled beauty. It is only natural that Zhao Huan likes her. I don't know why, but every time I glance over, I always catch him looking at me. I understand his gaze. He hates me. He thinks I like Zhao Xin, that I pose a threat to his position as the crown prince for Zhao Xin's sake, preventing him from ascending the throne with ease, my foolish younger brother. Although I don't take action, I also wouldn't harm him. The Prince of Huai is the nephew of the Zhen family. Does he really think the Zhen family would help him? I stopped paying attention to him and continued drinking and chatting until late into the night. The palace lanterns were extinguished, and brilliant fireworks burst across the sky. In truth, it was when the fireworks faded that the banquet reached its climax, for then, all was plunged into darkness. My first kiss with brother Lin Huai happened during the flower viewing banquet when I was 15. Amidst the darkness as the fireworks scattered, I was reminiscing about my youth when a pair of hands grabbed me, pinning me against the wall for a deep, passionate kiss. I remember the darkness and urgency, but it was also imbued with a desperate, bone-deep longing and joy. It was Zhao Huan. When the light came on, Zhao Xin came to find me with a lantern. There was no one in the corner anymore. I watched the retreating figures of Zhao Huan and Zhen Feiyan, and for the first time, I felt lost. If he hates me, why did you kiss me? The struggle for the throne began on an evening. As I left the Phoenix Palace, the Imperial Guards informed me that there would be a curfew tonight, and the palace gates would be closed. Seeing the smoke and commotion in the south, my heart sank. Uncle seemed quite lively just a few days ago, even playing a game of chess with me. How could he be so unwell so quickly? I sent someone to my aunt's palace, and the one who returned was Liu Qing. What a coincidence. It's rare to come to the palace to keep the Empress company, and I happened to catch such a major event as the struggle for the throne. Liu Qing's face was full of displeasure. How is everything in the Empress's palace? It's fine. Liu Qing watched as I directed the palace attendants to close the gates of Fengzhou Palace. It seems like tonight will be a sleepless night. Will they break in? No, they're fighting for the throne. Why would they come after me? Come, let's drink and play chess. You're quite at leisure, aren't you? I've already made arrangements. The tiger and leopard guards won't enter the city. If they want to fight, they can do it inside the palace. Zhao Huan and Zhao Xin must die, one of them. How can one allow others to sleep soundly beside their bed? I have already discussed countermeasures with the ministers in advance. The capital will be under strict curfew for 3 days, with no civilians allowed to leave their homes. The tiger and leopard guards should stay out of it as much as possible, limiting the conflict to within the palace walls. Do not go to extremes for the throne. Causing a spectacle of 1,000,000 corpses. Who becomes the emperor is not the issue. I only have one request. Do not disturb the people. Liu Qing sighed in admiration. Your heart is truly ruthless. If Zhao Huan knew that he was fighting his brother to the death while you were here playing chess, He would probably be furious again. If he wins, I will naturally treat him 1,000 times better. I placed a piece. Flames shot into the sky. The previous dynasty had been in turmoil from dusk till midnight, yet no resolution was in sight. Suddenly, a large contingent of troops charged into the inner palace. I exchanged a glance with Liu Qing. Stay seated. I'll go check it out. I picked up the lantern and stepped into the shadows. A figure leaned against the wall. The hurried breaths resembled white dragons dancing in the air, covered in blood from head to toe, disheveled. Yet his gaze was as deep as the sea. Zhao Huan, how did he end up here? A large group of people barged into my Fengzhou palace. I heard Liu Qing let out a helpless laugh. Hey, what are you doing? Reporting to the Grand Sacrificial Official, the rebels have fled. And we have come to protect the safety of the Orchid Terrace envoy. Before the words had even finished echoing, another group of black-clad warriors darted out, stabbing the speaker directly through the heart. Zhao Huan is from the Eastern Palace, and he wears black. His men are also uniformly dressed in black. I'm confused. If he had been defeated, how could there still be his men, fighting stubbornly in groups? If he hadn't been defeated, why would he be here? Rough hands caressed my face. As if to confirm, you are unharmed. He told you I'm in his hands. I questioned whether I had heard correctly. The struggle for the throne, why such a clumsy excuse? Does he even believe it? Zhao Huan actually grinned, looking somewhat relieved. So you're fine after all. Of course I'm fine, but you might not be. I raised an eyebrow. Against the backdrop of blood and fire outside the window, I lifted my lantern to leave. But he hooked his arm around my waist and pulled me back into the darkness. Delicate breaths pressed against me. Sister, come with me. You're not the winner. So what? He laughed nonchalantly, kissing my snow-white neck. Come with me outside the palace. I'll take you to the northern frontier, where there are vast grasslands. You can ride horses all day without reaching the end. He was so foolish. I didn't laugh. Liu Qing closed the palace gate again and walked over with the lantern. Jingyan, yes, I'm here. The firelight approached, and Zhao Huan retreated into the darkness. I didn't linger any longer, gathering my skirt and returning to my seat in the hall. You've been inside for so long. Is something the matter? Liu Qing's probing gaze swept over me. No, I continued playing chess. You know, you can only keep one cousin. Winner reigns, loser dies. I don't want to fight tonight, I said, looking up at her. Don't force me. Liu Qing laughed loudly. Her laughter infuriated me. Just as she couldn't stop laughing, the sound of a cuckoo echoed outside the window, and a letter flew in from outside. I picked up the letter and opened it. The handwriting was messy, but it was clearly my younger sister's. Before and after Jingmin's trip to Nanyang, she had already married and become a member of the Zhen family. Her letter was clearly written in a state of extreme urgency. The letter contained only one line. The Prince of Huai has colluded with the Western Gansu governor to secretly mobilize 100,000 troops to the capital in a bid to seize the throne. With a loud slap, I pressed the note onto the table. What's wrong? The Prince of Huai has summoned external forces to march to the capital with 100,000 troops. Liu Qing's smile vanished. That's no small number. I stood up and walked towards the palace gates. The Zhaoyang Palace was brightly lit, and the bells of the imperial city rang out. It was the tolling of a funeral bell. This meant that my uncle had become the late emperor, and someone would soon ascend to the throne. Where are you going? Are we not going to finish this game of chess? We are. Warm the wine and wait for me. I'll be right back. I gathered my skirts and hurried down the palace steps. That was the fastest pace a noblewoman could take. When I entered the Zhaoyang Palace, the court officials were all present. The palace gates were tightly closed, not allowing them to leave. They waited here in silence for the birth of the new emperor. Now, the Prince of Huai sat at the end of the great hall, on the brilliantly lit dragon throne. His clothes were stained with blood, but his eyes were bright. When he saw me, His gaze was like spring water, making him look even more like my elder brother Lin Huai. I walked towards him with dignity. He looked at me as if I were his entire world. As I approached him in the flickering light, he eagerly extended his arms to welcome me. "Sister." I drew his sword and plunged it into his chest with precision and force. My movements were swift, and no one had time to react. Blood spattered within 5 steps, and the Prince of Huai fell from the dragon throne with his eyes wide open. Then, the entire hall was thrown into shock. A figure appeared before the Jiaoyang Hall. Xu Xian supported Zhao Huan, stumbling and barely able to stand. He had no idea what had happened until he saw me, covered in blood. I beckoned to him gently. "Ah Huan, come, sit." Zhao Huan gazed deeply at me, walked through the brightly lit imperial path illuminated by candles, and then sat on the dragon throne. I stood before the entire court, sword in hand, with Zhao Xin's still warm body at my feet. I knew exactly how Zhao Huan was looking at me. He gazed at me as if I were his god. I dropped the sword, knelt in the silence, and bowed deeply to him, saying, "Long live the Emperor, long live, long live, long live." Behind me, the officials of both civil and military ranks knelt down in unison. The entire Jiaoyang Hall reverberated with the chanting of "Long live the 5th Emperor, long live, long live, long, long live." Zhao Xin stared at me with unblinking eyes, unwilling to accept his fate. He had violated the rules I had set, so he died. The new emperor ascended the throne. The funeral of Prince Huai took place. I encountered the deranged concubine Jian at Prince Huai's memorial hall. This beautiful woman was about to lunge at me and tear me apart. It was clearly Shina who won. Clearly Shina who won. "You venomous woman. For your despicable male concubine, you've taken my Shina's life. Your Highness, please choose your words carefully. You don't deserve to be here. Get out of here." She lunged at me. Intent on slapping me, I easily grasped her wrist. The Prince of Huai, in his bid for the throne, secretly summoned the commander of the Longxi garrison to the capital. That's a force of 100,000 soldiers. Should we not also deploy 100,000 troops to counter them? If not for Ah Huan acting in advance, the entire capital would have been engulfed in war and chaos. But he won. He is the emperor. It's the emperor's right to summon his subjects to the capital to execute you traitors. What's wrong with that? She drew a dagger from her sleeve. I knocked the dagger from her hand and seized her by the throat. "Concubine Jian, your son wants to be emperor, so everyone must risk their lives to accompany him to the grave. Is that it?" Not only must they accompany him, but the 100,000 troops passing through will disrupt the spring sowing for the people, leaving their wives and children subjected to arson, murder, and looting. By autumn, there will be no harvest, and the common people will starve to death. And all of this is still not as important as your son's single wish. Is that right? Only your son's life is valuable, while everyone else is mere grass. He wants the supreme throne, but in doing so, he forces ordinary people to be separated from their families and wander aimlessly. Where in the world is there such a twisted logic? I threw her to the ground. This beautiful woman tried to get up, but I stepped on her skirt. "Stop struggling. In the game of kings and conquerors, you no longer have a son." Her fierce expression vanished, replaced by a desperate cry. She truly felt that her life was over. I sighed deeply and helped her to her feet. "You've lived your whole life in seclusion, never seeing the world beyond. How can you speak of the fate of the nation?" A luxurious carriage stood waiting at the palace gates. "Let's go, leave this place. You're only 34, maybe you'll have other children." This was the only thing I could do for her. After seeing off concubine Jian, I also saw off an acquaintance, Liu Qing, sending me to Longxi. You really thought of it. The sandstorms there are no joke. Yang Du really intended to lead troops to the capital. Fortunately, I executed the Prince of Huai in time. You understand what this means. Our eyes met. A regional governor. capable of mobilizing local troops to participate in the struggle for the throne. If successful, it's a meritorious service to the new ruler. If failed, it's treasonous rebellion. Yangdu could gamble, but how could his soldiers dare to gamble? They were all ordinary commoners. If the general orders you to rebel, and you dare to do so, there's only one possibility. There is no other way out except rebellion. Anyone with a home, a career, food on the table, and clothes to wear wouldn't take on such a dangerous job where their head is practically tied to their belt. The situation in Longxi is probably worse than we can imagine, but with adversity comes opportunity. No one in the entire court is willing to go, but if you do, you'll be the prefect. If you succeed, you'll become a high-ranking official governing a vast territory. Once you hold an official position, you gain confidence within your family. Even if you don't become the head of the family, you can establish your own base in Longxi. Liu Qing isn't a foolish person. She clasped her hands in a salute toward me, and I returned the gesture calmly. This journey will take me through endless stretches of yellow sand, and I wonder when we will meet again. As Liu Qing boarded the carriage, she smiled at me. I have always spoken only the truth, but when I was young, I once told a lie. Oh, I said that Su Jing, beneath her dignified and composed exterior, is cunning and calculating, and I don't like her. I laughed. The carriage moved away, and the sound of a flute played a tune, breaking the willow, whether friend or foe. I believe she will do well, and do it beautifully, because we are both women. If we don't outperform men and achieve great deeds, they will say it's because we are women. Then we will be shoved back into the cage, and we don't want to be in the cage. There shouldn't be any cages in this world. After Zhao Huan ascended the throne, rumors circulated in the capital that I was a shrew. After all, not every woman could have killed Prince Huai and supported the new emperor. I could barely walk down one street without 3 storytellers vividly recounting the tale, until it became common knowledge, and I sensed that Zhao Huan seemed to be avoiding me. I grew increasingly bewildered. If it were any other man, I could forgive their cowardice. The image of me holding a sword, covered in blood, probably doesn't align with the title of the capital's first beauty. But this is Zhao Huan we're talking about. He rose to prominence in the northern frontier through military merit, having killed hundreds. How could he possibly fear that my hands are stained with blood? Could it be that in his heart, I am a pure, innocent little fairy untouched by the world? What a joke, manipulating power, who has clean hands. Soon, I understood why he was so cold towards me. After ascending the throne, his first action was to shower the Jian family, and Jian Feiyan, with a flood of rewards. Jian Feiyan was indeed a beauty, with eyes so cold and aloof. When she looks at you, you feel as if you've tainted her vision. It doesn't surprise me that men would be drawn to such a woman. So even Zhao Huan is just like that. At the first imperial banquet after Zhao Huan's ascension to the throne, I presented him with a tray I had prepared long in advance. Your Majesty, the imperial astrologer has already selected auspicious dates for the next 6 months. Please choose a day for your grand wedding. These were words he once said to me. Now, I am the one urging him, since my uncle has passed away, and he is in the prime of his life. My aunt cannot continue to rule as the Empress Dowager indefinitely, and I cannot always remain seated at her feet as merely a humble secretary of the Orchid Pavilion. Such undeserved fame restricted my ability to fully express myself. Emperor Zhao Huan, dressed in imperial robes, lounged on the dragon throne. The central palace being vacant is inauspicious, but who should take the position of empress? He looked at me, then shifted his gaze to the cold and moonlit Jian Feiyan. I find the Jian family's daughter quite suitable. What do you think, sister? My ears rang as if they had exploded. I helped Zhao Huan ascend to the throne. The empress was not me. That night, my aunt was furious. That little wretch, after all the help you've given him, he wants to marry a daughter of the Jian family. How on earth did his blockhead grow? Didn't he suffer enough from the Gen family during the struggle for the throne? I sat to the side, silent. Su Jingyan, can't you say something? It's not a big deal, just a bit more effort. I comforted her. Whether I enter the palace or not, as long as I'm here, Gen Feiyan won't be able to become the empress, auntie. You're still in your prime, suppress him for a few years, and once he has a child, everything will be easier to handle. But I can't swallow this anger. Can you? Auntie leaned on my shoulder. Do you know what they're saying about you outside? They say you've given up completely, handing the throne over willingly, and has turned around and fallen in love with another woman, discarding you like a worn-out shoe. I truly am unwilling, but not for this reason. If you are not the empress, then you are betraying the efforts your mother and I have put in. My aunt reprimanded me. Understood, I'll go talk to him. I picked up the wine jug and walked into the Chengde Palace. I don't know what to say to Zhao Huan. I feel very distant from this younger brother. After my brother and I were born, we were raised from a young age to become the future emperor and empress. Zhao Huan, I haven't even seen him much. The first time I remember meeting him, he was being beaten by a eunuch in the cold palace. I didn't know he was a prince at the time. I chased the eunuch away, took him to the imperial hospital, and had him treated. It was only through talking that I found out he was my younger brother. I think my uncle never mentioned him, probably because his mother's status was lowly, so he was assigned a few honest and simple servant women, and a bit of silver was moved from the crown prince's palace for his expenses. That's how the prince in the cold palace was treated. Worse than a dog. A tiny fraction of my monthly allowance was enough to see him grow. Later, I encountered him several times in the imperial garden, but since Lin Huai was by my side, I didn't get a chance to speak with him. After that, I followed my mother to the northern frontier, where Zhao Huan had already joined the army. He became a cavalry captain, having just survived a fierce battle. Many of his men were killed or wounded, and he himself was unable to move. I had some knowledge of medicine and took care of him for a while. At the time, I was responsible for the wounded in an entire tent, but because he was like a younger brother to me, I secretly gave him better food and supplies than the others. That period was incredibly tough for me, and I don't like to think about it afterward. If Lin Huai Gij hadn't died, Zhao Huan and I would probably have been close siblings within the family. How did things come to this? I stumbled into his resting place, clutching a jar of Osmanthus wine. Zhao Huan was also drunk, and the ceremonial robe made him look even more handsome than usual. We stared at each other for a while, neither of us speaking. Just as I was thinking about how to start a conversation, he suddenly reached out and pulled me into his arms, his lips pressed against mine, urgent and impatient, as if he had been waiting for a long time. Why do you hate me when I helped you become the emperor? I asked him amidst the urgent kiss. You didn't choose me. He just wouldn't listen. Then why don't you just listen? My head was spinning. Why make me suffer? Zhao Huan stiffened on top of me. Yes, anyway, now, you only have me. I heard a bitter laugh. Then came the overwhelming pleasure, consuming me to the point of madness, unceasing throughout the night. After that day, Zhao Huan never mentioned the matter of welcoming Lady Jen again. Our wedding was scheduled, however. He soon caused another uproar. He refused to choose the auspicious date presented by the Imperial Observatory and instead chose the anniversary of Lin Huai's death. Petitions from the ministers flooded the court like snowflakes. It was utterly absurd. My aunt nearly blew the roof off the cunning palace. I knew it. I knew he was an ungrateful wretch. Now that he's triumphant, he brazenly wants to trample my Huan underfoot. My aunt was inconsolable, then turned her ire on me. What are you going to do about it? I don't want to stir up any more trouble right now. Zhao Huan's intentions are utterly baffling. If you don't go along with him, he won't play by the rules. He's the emperor now, and we'll need him in the future. You're actually indulging him in this. My aunt scrutinized me coldly. Have you fallen for him? Aunt, you're tired. I set down the teacup and stood up. Get some rest. I stepped into the biting spring breeze. What romance is there in this palace? It was only that blood had just been shed, and I had just coupled with Zhao Huan. I didn't want to disturb this hard-won peace. The day of the wedding arrived in the blink of an eye. Preparing for the wedding took me quite a bit of effort. I managed to cut the original budget of 600,000 taels of silver down to 200,000. The wedding was solemn and simple. I rode in a carriage through the Zhuqiu gate into the depths of the palace. Feeling the joy of spring and the swiftness of the horse's hooves, I did not wear a bridal veil. I wanted everyone to see my face clearly, to see how I walked step by step to his side, to stand beside him at the highest point. From now on, there will be 2 thrones towering above the world in the Zhaoyang Palace. Dragon throne and Phoenix chair, equal in standing, overlooking the officials. When I discussed this matter with Zhao Huan, he remained very calm. Oh, if you like it, just do it. He even found it strange that I wanted to attend court with him. He didn't even want to attend court himself. Because of his words, as long as you like it. I didn't argue with him about today being the memorial day for brother Lin Huai, compared to the fact that I no longer had to sit behind the golden screen, at my aunt's feet, and could now face the officials openly. Everything else seemed trivial. The Emperor and Empress's wedding is elaborate. The bridal chamber was finally cleared of all the onlookers late into the night, and weariness was etched on both our faces. We drank the wedding cup together. Let's sleep. Sleep. Zhao Huan raised an eyebrow. We need to offer sacrifices at the ancestral temple tomorrow. We have to rise at the 4th watch. Then don't sleep. Zhao Huan pushed me down onto the dragon bed and tore off my wedding gown. Beneath it was a plain white dress. Zhao Huan's eyes darkened. You're wearing mourning clothes. The red candles burned silently, and his gaze was icy and cold. There were too many ceremonies, so I didn't even count on the wedding night. I reasoned with him. After all, it's the anniversary of my brother's death, and the Empress Dowager has been grieving for a long time. She didn't even attend the wedding because of it. Zhao Huan ignored me. He gritted his teeth, determined to strip me of my mourning clothes. I could endure no more and slapped him across the face. Zhao Huan, Lin Huai is dead. Your throne is his. This dragon bed is his, and I am his. But now he is beneath the earth, and you are here, with me. I grabbed his collar. What more do you want? You've left his wife and mother with no remnant of him at all. Wife? Whose wife are you? Zhao Huan questioned me. You only remember today as his death anniversary. But do you remember that today is also our wedding day? It shouldn't have been just one day. You insisted on making it one day. This morning dress, you put it on me yourself. Zhao Huan fell silent. He had never been able to argue with me, but his eyes became moist. His features were sharp and handsome, his gaze always fierce and menacing, but when it glistened with tears, it somehow made him seem pitiful. I patiently reached out and wiped away his tears. Let's go to sleep. Okay, we need to get up early tomorrow. Zhao Huan knocked my hand away. I no longer indulged his unreasonable tantrum and put on my outer robe before leaving Changla Palace. Cry if you want to, I'm going to sleep. After the wedding, I took control of the government by claiming that the young emperor was not yet capable of ruling. The ministers were used to it, after all. I had been sitting behind that golden screen for 3 years. They simply had never heard my voice, for the Lantai secretary was not worthy of speaking. She was merely a minor official seated at the Empress Dowager's feet, recording the debates of the court, but they all knew where the Empress Dowager's words originated. Even now, I speak very little, yet if there is any debate, when I open my mouth, it signifies the end. Zhao Huan was dissatisfied with me. Initially always enjoying contradicting me, later, realizing he was only making a fool of himself, he stopped trying to act foolish. However, he grew increasingly disinclined to attend court, forcing me to kick him out of bed in his resting place every morning. I received Yangdu's head, preserved with quicklime by Liu Qing, who had it sent from Longxi to the capital. The situation in Longxi is bad. but not bad enough to warrant war. She can handle it. This was the best wedding gift I could have received. Zhao Huan and I had a disagreement, so he started clamoring to expand his harem. The noble families were also busy trying to push their women into his harem, and in no time, numerous scrolls piled up on my desk. My sixth sister looked at the mountain of scrolls and shook her head. Because she had tipped me off during the struggle for the throne, she was sent back home after being divorced. I became the empress. And she followed me to live in the Phoenix Palace, where she quietly focused on her pregnancy. My sixth sister truly has some skills. The timing of her pregnancy was remarkably opportune, so opportune that with just a letter, she toppled the Prince of Huai. Even the Duke of Jian, seeing her visibly pregnant belly, dared not enforce the family law, returning home in a grand carriage. My poor brother-in-law still had to dodge my father's cane, often climbing over the wall to visit her and the child. Do you think being an empress is easy? Managing a household is already difficult, let alone the royal household. I smiled. Sister didn't have to be so hard on herself, at least not in this matter. The sixth sister played with the tabby cat. The emperor doesn't want so many concubines in the first place. Oh, can't you tell, sister? The emperor is deliberately trying to provoke you. Her eyes sparkled with a mischievous glint. I thought she was going to say something else. He enjoys provoking me. As long as I'm not at ease, he feels satisfied. Have you ever thought about why that is? Perhaps it's because I didn't clearly take his side during the struggle for the throne. Sixth sister looked at me with a mix of frustration and disappointment. If the emperor and you are only bound by interests, then you should already be the most reliable allies. Why would he treat you like this? To be honest, I'd like to know that too. He likes you, sixth sister said. Her gaze teasing. What? The emperor has feelings for sister. The smile at the corner of my sixth sister's lips widened. Real, unadulterated feelings between a man and a woman. My hand paused as I held the brush. The ink from the tip of the brush spread across the paper. The fog in my mind about Zhao Huan suddenly cleared. Is it really love? No wonder, no wonder. This makes sense now. He always tried to provoke me by flirting with other women. Yet he would fly into a rage when I flirted with other men. His rivalry with Prince Huai for the throne also began after I said, "My husband is the emperor, not the crown prince," so even though I helped him secure the throne, he still harbored resentment towards me. He didn't want the empire, he wanted me. He hated me for not choosing him. He also hated brother Lin Huai, with a hatred that ran deep. You only think of today as his death anniversary, you never consider that today is our wedding day. His words still echo in my ears, and I feel a slight disorientation. So that's how it is. So that's how it is. Yes, yes. Zhao Huan is simple-minded. He was born a lowly abandoned child, raised without the intrigues of court life. Unlike us, he doesn't care about personal gain. But he does have feelings for me. All the men and women I've encountered have been plotting and scheming against me. I've grown accustomed to it. And so I viewed Zhao Huan in the same light. So I could never truly understand him, but he was originally just an open red letter, word spread outside the palace, saying Zhao Huan had arrived. He wore black, with the 9-pearl imperial crown. When he saw me, the corners of his mouth slightly drooped, revealing much displeasure. This was the first time since our marriage that he had come to my Phoenix Palace. With a knowing glance from my sixth sister, she silently withdrew. Only the two of us remained in the grand hall. I was half convinced by what she said, so I decided to test him. You can't take in too many concubines. Zhao Huan's gaze drifted over. Oh, it's expensive to keep and useless. Zhao Huan let out a cold laugh. You only care about money. I reached out and gently placed my hand over his. The harshness on his face disappeared, replaced by confusion. I tentatively took hold of his hand, gazing at him tenderly. He turned his head away, a blush appearing on his handsome face. As you wish. My heart couldn't help but flutter. It's real, it's true after all. My sixth sister is truly extremely intelligent. I patted the spot beside me, signaling him to sit next to me. Why are you suddenly being so nice to me? Do you have some scheme? He sat over, but his whole body tensed up defensively. What conspiracy could I possibly have? I'm merely arranging a marriage for the emperor. Zhao Huan's face darkened. Why was he unhappy again? Wasn't I being gentle enough with him? He leapt out from the scroll, pointing at Zhen Feiyan. I want her. I gazed at the cold and lofty woman on the scroll, finding myself unusually torn. Zhao Huan leaned in. You're unwilling. You'll take her whether you want to or not. The daughter of the Zhen family, the niece of the imperial consort. If I don't let her enter the palace, Lord Zhen might cause a huge uproar. They may not necessarily like Zhao Huan, but they will definitely want a grandson with the surname Zhao. If things go well and he becomes the emperor, it would be a surefire win. The significance of the harem lies in this, an opportunity for the great families to share in the benefits. Why all these hesitations? Zhao Huan's hand rested on my waist. If you ask, I can do without it. Take them in. I made the decision, selecting the daughters of influential families who had to enter the palace. I'll finalize the ranks of the various palaces and send them to your residence. Zhao Huan once again became a beast baring its teeth in the shadows. Do you really enjoy finding concubines for me? They are not concubines, especially Zhen Feiyan. They are to be respected and honored, I reminded him. He grew even more irritable. I thought of what my sixth sister had said. By the way, dealing with Zhao Huan means you can't reason with him. I don't like this either, I said, tightening my grip on his collar. But it's my job. Zhao Huan silently raised his eyes, and the ink-like darkness in them finally cleared like the sky after the rain. That night, Zhao Huan stayed in my palace. The next day, we almost missed the morning court session. Zhen Feiyan entered the palace in the autumn. To show respect for her, as soon as she entered the palace, I conferred the title of noble consort upon her. Zhao Huan refused to go to her palace. Zhen Feiyan ignored him. I didn't get involved in their affairs. As long as she was brought into the palace, I fulfilled my duty. They could do as they pleased. I had plenty of memorials to review every day. I didn't ask for much. As long as they kept up appearances and didn't make things difficult for me, that was enough. But I never expected that these two former lovers, who had once caused such a stir and nearly ruined my plans, could be so irreconcilable. The reason was that the Zhen family had heard that Zhao Huan had not visited Zhen Feiyan, so they drugged his wine with aphrodisiacs and forcibly brought him to Zhen Feiyan's palace. Zhen Feiyan woke up from a dream to find someone in her bed and immediately slapped him twice. This made Zhao Huan unhappy as well, and he returned the favor with 2 slaps. I had just gone to bed when I heard that the emperor and the imperial consort were fighting in the Guanju palace. Without even having time to comb my hair, I hurried over. The Guanju palace was in complete disarray. How dare she hit me? Zhao Huan was furious. If it weren't for the Zhen family meddling, why would I be here? I held him and tried to calm him down. All right. Zhao Huan drew his sword. I'm going to charge her with gross disrespect today. All right. I raised my voice and snatched the sword from his hand. The effects of the medicine hadn't worn off yet. And Zhao Huan's fingers were weak. He gasped for breath and collapsed into my arms. Sister is here. Sister is here now. I kissed his forehead. Zhao Huan was so intoxicated that he was out of his mind. He buried his face in my chest and wept. I am the son of heaven. I will cut off her head. I will banish her to the cold palace. Let me handle this. Okay. I promise your sister won't let you suffer any injustice. Zhao Huan finally calmed down, resting her head on my shoulder. Holding the emperor in my arms, I said to the noble consort, "You may leave first." Concubine Zhen stood tall and composed in her plain attire, her face expressionless. Throughout this